Hey everybody, it's David R. Becker here with BeckerArt, and we're here to do our Thursday night paint along, and we're going to do trees, yay! I'm a little bit late, only by 1 minute, sorry, but sometimes I have to go through the videos, I guess, or not to the, they have ads. I've got to listen to the ads before I get on. You're seeing ads, I also have to see the ads, and so here we go. We're going to be doing some trees today, and it should be some fun. Hopefully, if you got my newsletter this week, you saw what I'm going to be doing about trees. We're going to be doing trees without leaves, and basically, actually, it could be a holiday card for you too, because it is snow, and I know we're getting kind of pushing it fast, but we're gonna have fun. And so let's see who's all here today. We got Sue. Let me see. Oh, there's. All right, hold on 1 second here. How come it won't let me go up? Okay, we got Barbara, Sue, Kathy. Tina, Maura, hey guys, Patty, Bob, I got Robin, Kathy, Marianne, and Pamela so far. And so, I'm watching, okay, here we go. So, today we have a beer from one of my friends who, one of the students who took my workshop up in Door County, or actually in Green Bay, and she got this from Door County, Wisconsin. Shipwrecked summer wheat ale. So this comes directly from Egg Harbor in Door County, Wisconsin. So let's see how this tastes. We're doing a lot of Wisconsin beers, I guess, because I've got, I think, three more weeks worth of Wisconsin beers that everybody had given me when I was up there. And so thank you. I forget who it was that gave me this. I think actually she's online. She may be online. I forgot who it was that had given me. So this is a summer wheat ale. Oh, Barbara. This is Barbara. So yeah, thanks again, Barbara, for this. Let's see how it tastes. Oh, that's really good. I'm gonna give that a 10. That is really, really good. Summer wheat ale, Shipwrecked Brew Pub. It's a really good wheat ale taste. So actually very good. Yeah, I can give that one a 10. That's now 11 is the best, because I go up to 11 because that's my favorite number, 11. So, anyways, let's get going to doing the trees. Let's do some trees here. And so, anybody who's new and you want some information, go to my website to find out what we're painting, what we're doing, getting my newsletter, everything you can find here on my website. I'm trying to redesign my website a little bit. I have friend who's going to help me out, and we're going to try to redo my website a little bit, but we'll get that done in time, hopefully. My supplies we're using today are Holbein watercolors, of course, and my brushes that are also Holbein brushes with my name on them. And we're not going to use any Mascoid or any transfer paper, but we will be using Stonehenge Aqua paper, and that's by Legion. Excuse me. And so here is here's what I did this afternoon up the lower left-hand corner. That's what I had painted this afternoon, and you can see that I changed a lot of things around a little bit. And anytime I take a picture, I always try to make sure that I have everything good about it, and the things that are bad about it and things that I think need to be changed, I change in the painting. And one of those things, if you look right here, is this little hump that is in the river. It's like this is probably ice, this is probably in the winter, or it's land, and it showed me like this little penguin. I just saw this as a penguin beak, and so I couldn't get that out of my head anymore. And so now that I tell you that, I'm sure you're going to see the same thing. Like this right here is a penguin beak, and so I got rid of that. See how I just took it down here, and I just got rid of that part because I just felt that was really bugging me, that it was going up. And if I would do it this way, it would look like a mound. I drew it up a little bit differently on this time, but you'll see. And also the colors, very blue, very in the evening, and a little bit of light kind of through the background here. Well, I decided to bring the light up a little bit, and so I made the whole foreground, or the background, all this mountainy little area, this hilly area here, I brought that into the light. I figured the sun is going down right here, and so I'm going to be putting that warmth in the background. So I'm going to have a warm background and a cool foreground, meaning that all this stuff down here and here, as you can tell in my value study, the sky and the bottom here are dark. I'm going to make that dark because I want the sun to be in here, and kind of, it isn't like that in the value study as much as I'm going to make it, because this hill I'm just going to assume that that's part of my light area. And so the tree and this down here is my darks, which is when I squint my eye, the water is the darkest, and then of course the trees are, and then the foreground are dark, and so that's my darks, and everything else is going to be my lights. And so pretty simple composition. And even this dark down here is still a gray middle tone. And so I always, like I told you before, middle tones like you can either take to the light or the dark end of it. And so I'm taking this middle tone to the light part. So this all background compared to here is all my lights, and then even the hills back here are lights. And then there are some darks in the hills a little bit. I could put a little bit more here, like this part stuff right here, but that's will be my light area. Another thing I want to tell you before we get started is that what's important in this is the shape of these trees. You look at the shape, see all these little tiny branches? Well, if you look in here, how I painted them was like, I'll show you a little technique of how to do that. But the most important thing is that shape that it creates to make the tree look like the roundness that it is. It's not like leaves. Leaves are a different thing. These are all branches, and so we'll wisp away some of these branches to look like it's a value that's still there. But what's important, and I was telling my class this afternoon, is that this shape right here is the most important part of that tree to make it look like a tree. So this part right here. So keep that in mind when you're doing the tree. And also, when you're drawing the tree, and even painting them, the part that is the most important part is this main trunk. The main trunk and the secondary branches. Like the trunk goes up the center, and then you have all these like bigger branches. These little ones that all make it look like there's a little shading of color in there, those are not as important as the outer shape. And also, I keep it separate from these little branches. I keep separate from the big, huge branches. Because I actually only draw on the big branches. And the other things, and I'll show you in a second. Let me just show you. Let me go to tabletop. And so if you look here in my drawing, let me just point it out. Here, the line is I only draw in the big, huge branches, the ones that I want to put in with with a hard edge line. These other little ones, I'm going to put in like almost like a wash of water. And I'll show you the technique I use in a second, or when we get to it. And so that's just what I want to memorize. When you're doing the trees, the first part is the big, broad trunk that goes up, and then the secondary branches that are also big that go to the smaller branches. And those smaller branches, I don't even draw them in. It'd be too much pencil. I'm just going to do it with my rigger brush, and we'll go from there. All right. Any questions for anybody, please let me know. I will look up every once in a while and see what I see, and we'll get going from here. All right. And so, again, if you want to make this more of a Christmas card, or a holiday card, you can make it snow. You can make it darker. You can put actually snow on the trees with white paint later on. But we can do that later. And again, cheers to number 10 beer. This is a very good beer. So again, from Door County, Summer Wheat Ale. A 10 paintbrush beer. And that's pretty good. Wow, that is really good. Okay, so so what would I do first? And of course, we do our lights to darks. Remember, anytime I work, there's 3 steps, 3 stages. Every time we've done this now, gonna go ahead and donate money for you to get another beer. The donate icon is at the bottom left. Thanks again, Joseph. I was thanking you in Instagram or something, but it doesn't seem to take or something. It automatically reminds me of something. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for a beer. And so here we go, guys. So we're gonna go with our light area first. Let me get this beer out of the way so it doesn't go over the light of my painting. And so I'm going to wet the whole thing basically, and I'm going to do the whole light area, because that's the first thing you do. You do your lights, your first thing in step 1. Well, the most important thing is your drawing, so make sure your drawing is good. Second step, it will be your composition, light and dark. We talked about that. But when it comes to actually painting it, the 3-step process is I do my lights first, and that will give me my color scheme. And that's the first thing you do, is you pick out your color scheme, and I'm going to wet the whole paper. I'm going to wet the whole paper evenly. I could have taken some of the pencil line off. I did pencil it in, and so I could have taken some of that off with the kneaded rubber eraser by rolling it over it, but I didn't do that, but that's okay. The trees are going to be darker than the pencil lines anyways. So I'm going to pick and do the sun right back here. right into the mountains, into the hills. It's not so much mountains, I guess it's more than like hills. And I'm going to take that right into the ground and into the side of this hill, because I want that hill later on to be kind of reflecting the warm light. It's going to be a warm background, cool foreground. So I'm getting my lights in there first, and it's going to go basically with orange, yellow, and purple, blue. That's going to be my color scheme, is basically yellow and purples. And then we're going to go right away. Okay, there's my lights, and then I'm going to go and do my whole sky. Now the sky, and like I said down here, I still consider that my light, even though it's a middle tone. I put it on. I put it on with a light, and it's going to be a purple with a little bit of blue, ultramarine blue, and permanent violet. I'm going to go up here and just get that in there. And this is ultramarine blue with a little bit of permanent violet. I'm going to start there and go down. And as it goes down into the yellow, I'll probably get even a little bit of a green, which is fine because that actually happens in nature. If you look at the sky, it goes from a yellow to a lime green kind of. I mean, actually, you can even put a little green in there and a little yellow, because it is good to have a little bit of that showing. It happens in nature, so you can put it like that way onto your paper. A lot of people are always asking me, "Oh, how do I keep the yellow from going into my blue?" Let it go in. It's part of the. That's the way it really looks out there. I learned that from Carl Bretsky, who I took a class from and talked all about the sky colors and stuff, and it works. It definitely is out there. There is a green that is bigger than the light blue that you're gonna. I can put a little light blue up there too, and then goes right into the yellow. That's when it's not all the way down yet. It's not, it's not a sunset scene yet. It's more like it's going down, but it's not. It hasn't set yet, and so not everything is red, or the reds haven't come out. The oranges, the bright oranges. This is more like it's the afternoon, and it's about to go down, and so that's more of that kind of colors that I'm getting right now. So I'm gonna put a little bit darker, and again. This is going to dry 20% lighter. All washes usually dry about 20% lighter than they look when they're wet. And so go 20% darker than you feel you need it to be, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to get 20% lighter. And that's what happened in my one this afternoon. And here, let me just show you what I did this afternoon. So this is the one this afternoon. And it got pretty light, a lot lighter than I expected it to be. I felt I wanted it to be a little bit darker, and I put the footprints in there. I'm going to put also a little fence back here this time. I felt it needed that, but that's what I did this afternoon. So now I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Now we're going to go down the bottom and re-wet this area too, because this got dry by the time I get down here. And so I'm going across it. And the water is basically going to be darker than the snow, so I can put it darker. It's going to have to be more yellow and orange back there, but that's fine. You can do that too. I'm going to go with the same colors I put in the sky as I'm going to put down into the snow. And right now it's going to look really almost too dark. But once I get my darks in there, then that becomes very light. It always is that way, and I know you can't grade it yet by what it is right now until you get the darks next to it. Because that's what will show you then how dark it will be and how dark it should be. People get scared because they're thinking, oh my God, it's so dark, that's so dark. But watch, you just watch when this dries. And then when I put the other the river in there, you're going to see how much darker it's going to look. And as I get down here, I'm going to put a little bit of orange back here. So it'll be kind of more of a grayish blue. Maybe put a little bit more of a light blue in there. And I'm kind of keeping out of let's go right into the water. What the heck? I can put the little orange in the water too. Back here I felt like it would be a little bit darker. And because I'm gonna make these little hills, I'm gonna make them darker orange later on, and so you'll see then that I'll be going into the water. So I'm kind of playing 2 steps ahead. I'm kind of getting myself ready for the dark water that's gonna be in here, and so that's just what I'm gonna be doing later. And here I'm doing a little bit of edge right here, and I'm getting a little bit of that snow. Like it's a little light, like right down the center here. This is my center of interest, so I'm going to keep a little bit more light right there on top of the snow. Almost like a white, a really vibrant color right there. here we can put a little bit brighter yellowish orange. So we're going to put a little bit of the orange right on top of here because the snow would reflect some of the sun that's back here. So this is more like I said, like an afternoon, not so much a sunset, but like it's gone, the sun almost, but it's still light enough and still bright enough that you're seeing a lot of things and you're not getting that big warm red light yet that's you get in the sunset. All right, Charlie says, glad that you show the afternoon painting too. Yeah, that's what I just said. It's cool. All right, so I think this is the point where I'm gonna leave this now, and this is my snow, and I'm gonna let that dry so I can put darker shades in there to let this is gonna be my light. These are my lights now. This is the light area. I know it looks dark, but it will be light, and so you have to determine a lot of times in the very beginning of your painting how light your light is going to be, how dark it's going to be, and this is the darkest my light is going to be. And so from everything from this point on, I have to gauge darker than this when I do my darks. And so then it'll make this even lighter. And like I said, when it dries, it's going to be a lot lighter than you think. And so now let's go right into our background and our hills back here. And I can do it now while it's wet because I can use the soft edges, or I can wait till it dries and get a hard edge. As long as I keep the values pretty close, close to what's back there, then it won't even seem hard because they'll be very low contrast. And so I'm going to make this low contrast. Just going to give it a little bit more color right around here. And as I go over to this side, I'm going to get a little bit darker. Now put a little purple in there to dull it down a little bit, because right where the sun is hitting, right around this area, the sun's way back there, it's going to hit the sides of these things. But right away, there's going to be a darker part to this part too, because these are little brushwork back there, and there's some trees basically and stuff like that back there. And as you can tell, yeah, there's a shrubbery and stuff in the ground, and so it goes to a dark. And then on the edges, I can make it a yellowish orange. I go right through this tree, because that tree will be darker, so don't be afraid of going into the tree. Go right through it. Don't go around it. If you go around it, you're going to make yourself miserable, because you're going to have the little white lines there, and you won't be able to make it look clean. This way you make it look clean. You just go right over it when it's dry, and you just make it a nice, beautiful dark on top of that. Here again, and I'm going to make it a little bit, let's see, a little bit more orange here. And then I'll make the horizon, or the line that's where the bottom of this hill. And then I'll again make, see, now it's wet, and so it's getting me a soft edge. So I get a soft edge. Either way, it's fine. And this is pencil, so I can probably erase that. And so again, the edge is going to be a little bit lighter. And as I go up, this is the side of the hill. And everything, all my trees are going to be darker, a little bit darker than that. So I'll be good. And so now this is going to be nice and orangey. And then I'm going to put some violet in there, dull it down a little bit. And how do you dull down an orange? You put blue or violet, because I'm using, my orange is a little bit yellowish, so I can put a little bit of violet in there, and it'll turn it down, and it'll gray it down a little bit, and also make it kind of brownish, and that's cool. And then here I'm going to leave the blue and just maybe put a little bit more of the violet in here, so I can make it look like there's still snow. You can also put violet in there into the wet wash here, and then it'd be like a gray, a bit of gray, and so that can be a little darker, like it's a little bit of piece of land, and shrubbery again, stuff like that. Please ask questions if anybody's new here. I look up every once in a while just to see if I can answer some questions. And here we go. So I'm putting, and this lavender is pretty opaque. But when put into a wash like this where it's very wet, it looks very transparent, because it's going, it's floating on top. And so it's kind of covering up some of the orange, but it's floating on top, and you can still see the orange through it a little bit. It just gives you kind of a different feel. And I'm going to put the same thing, take some of the lavender and make the kind of shadows in this area so it's a little bit darker. Again, go through the tree. Don't pretend like the trees are there yet. Nobody planted them yet. They're going to be there a little bit later. And then I'm going to put a little bit of this darker color for this shading the snow. And while it's wet, it's great to putting it while it's wet because then I get a soft edge. And that's how you get a soft edge in watercolor is you just wet the surface. Today in class, somebody asked me, or they were having trouble with, Sherry was having problems with keeping her, the river smooth. And so to smooth the surface or smooth the watercolor wash, what do? You wet it. You wet it and you let the watercolor smooth it out for you. You do not smooth it. As a watercolorist, you never smooth anything out. You don't rub it to smooth it out. You let the water take the pigment and smooth itself out. That's one thing about watercolor that is so wonderful, that you never have to blend anything. It just blends itself. Yes, you can help it along by moving it back and forth a little bit into the puddle, the pigment itself, but the pigment itself will smooth itself out. You do never, you never have to soften an edge. It just happens on its own. It happens by putting water down and letting the pigment float. That's why I might call everything float your pigment, because you're floating the pigment into a puddle of water and it will automatically soften itself up. You don't have to help. You can help it along a little bit, but see how I got this soft edge? That's because it was wet and there's nothing I can do about that. So when your surface is wet, your paper is wet, you're going to get a soft edge, and that's how you get a soft edge, and that's how you get a nice. Look at how nice and even all this is. Look at all the granulation that I have happening in here. The granulation is when the pigment settles into those little grooves, and that's wonderful. And that usually happens a lot with like an ultramarine blue color. And so, see, I'm just kind of waiting here. Ask some questions, guys, and let me take another drink of this beautiful, wonderful beer. This is beer from Door County. Cheers, everybody. A 10 beer. I haven't had one of those in a while. And thanks again, Joseph, for the next beer that we're going to have next week. Joseph had found out how to donate the money during the thing, and I'm not sure, I haven't gone in there yet to figure out how that is put into my account, but I will figure that out. I tried to contact you last time, Joseph, on Instagram, and for some reason it just answers automatically. It just, I'm not sure why it's doing that. So I'll figure that all out, but thanks again. And so I think I've, let's see if I've wasted enough time. And always when you're looking to check your painting and you want to see if it's wet or dry, don't use your fingertips because they have oil on it. And so use the back of your hand and then just feel it. And if it feels damp, you know, you can, if it feels cold, then yes, it's wet. And here you can see I have my hands in there now. So don't do that either. See how I put my hand in there? So I got little lines in there. But that's going to be, I'm going to put all the wash in there anyway. So, but it's, yeah, it's still wet. But I can go in here now and I'm going to get my big trunks because this is my light. I'm done with my lights. Lights are done. And now everything, the second step is always your large mediums and your large darks, right? Second step. Third step, what's the third step? You remember, it's the fine dark details, which would be the trees and the little branches on the trees, the little dark things. And that's the very last thing. But right now what we have to do is do our large, mediums, and darks. So that means the water, the tree trunk, the big tree trunks. And so since this is still wet down here, we're going to go right into the tree trunks. And if they're a little bit of soft edge, that's fine. I can deal with that. I'll just use a little bit more pigment this time and get it a little bit thicker. And I want to use a color that's very dark. And so maybe a little bit of brown, a little purple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it, go inside here. And then once I do the dark, and this is, I know it seems kind of detailed, but it's the big parts of this tree. And so I consider it still a big dark area, even though it's like I'm filling in my little pencil lines. I'm doing the main big trunk of the tree. Now I wet it, it's a surface, right? I wet it. Now I go in there and I think, okay, the one side of the tree is going to be more orange where the light is coming. So the one edge can be a little bit more orange on this side. Maybe the other side can be a little bit more blue. So I'm not just putting one color down and leaving it. You know me, I like to put in other colors and float other colors in there. You're not just using one color for the tree trunk. Once it's wet, you can apply so many different colors. And as the tree trunk gets bigger or goes farther away, the branches get smaller and smaller and smaller. And if you got my newsletter this week, you saw how I did a little video on doing tree branches. and that you don't just do them so that they look like they're a fan tree, like the tree is just fanned out flat and it's fanned out. No, some of these branches go over the front and they go in the front, and I can make that up as I go along. Even though I drew up most of the big tree branches, I can, you know, make up anything I want as I go along here. But even in your drawing, make sure that you have some of them that are dark that come forward, and the ones that are lighter, like I'm going to do some orange branches now, orangey yellow branches that will go into the back, and those look like they're going backwards and they go into distance. And you need both of these so that you have a tree that has volume. It's got a foreground, it's got a middle, and a background. These branches are not all, like I said, they're not a fan where they're all on the same level. They're back and forth. Where's my camera? Back and forth. So we're going to go in here with some yellow branches and some darker branches, and the branches that are yellow, your mind will say, oh, those must be in the back because they're closer to the sun. So that's, you know, it's just logical that you put some branches that look like they're in the distance and ones that are in the foreground. And even this whole tree back here, there's a tree that's back here. Well, that one, I'm just going to make the whole tree in this yellow, in this darker yellowish gold, with a little bit of purple in there because it's back there, and I don't want it to come forward and come like the dark branches, because the dark branches state that it's in the foreground. You can do that by, you know, just making something dark and light that automatically makes it forward and background. And so that's what I'm doing. Now these are, like I said, these are the main branches. These are not the small branches. The small branches, I'm going to show you a couple of tricks on how to do that. And after this dries. Now look at that. That was really wet, so I'm getting a really a really gnarly tree back there. I use that word a lot. I noticed when I did my last video, gnarly. I guess gnarly means just gnarly. And so now here's my dark tree. But see in this tree how many colors I have in there? I just don't have one dark. Remember I put the dark purple and brown type in there? What I also do is I put other colors in there, like the orange on the edge and maybe blue on the other side. And that, even though it's so small, that little trunk of the tree, I've still got a lot of colors in there because that's my center of interest. I just don't want it to be one color. I want a lot of colors in there. Same thing with this tree, which is more in the foreground. So the first thing I do is I put a lot of color in there, or I can just use black itself and while I'm wetting it. I'm getting so excited here. And so I'm putting it on pretty thick too because my surface is still a little wet. So the thicker I put it on, I can make my edges a little bit harder. You know, a little bit harder than, even though it's wet, by making it pretty thick, my edges don't get so soft. Yes, there's parts of them that are still, see how it's blending and it's getting soft right in there. But the other parts where it's drying a little bit, that's going to stay pretty hard edged. And so these are my dark. Again, what does dark mean? It means those are my branches that are forward in the front. And I can put some that overlap. You know, I can put like one that overlaps in the front. And I can put a little light in there. But see, right now I only have one color. I did that whole thing with one color. And that is going to have to change in a second to where I then will put other colors in there. That is Joseph. There is an icon money sign at the bottom left of chat. Anyone can do it. It will take you to several options. Choose super chat. You are very welcome. Well, thanks, Joseph. Thanks for explaining that. I'm not sure if I received the money yet. I'm not sure where to find out, but I will find that out and I will let you know. Not trying to be the nerd in class, but everybody please hit like. It helps to keep him doing this for us. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Joseph. Yes, I will keep on doing it for you, and the more likes I get, the better. It helps out a lot. And so here we go. We're going to see now that's wet. Remember, we flowed our pigment. So on this side, I'm going to put the orange on this side now. A little bit of orange on inside the trunk, and I float the pigment. On the other side, we take a little bit of blue. I like to put a little blue or even purple or lavender, and I put that on the back side, and so that it has more than just one color. It also gives a texture. It kind of gives it a little bit of texture. And then I'll do this tree right away. Now this tree's got to be a little bit more golden. Why? Because it's farther back. And again, those branches back here, and even the big main trunks. Oh, that's way too wet. Now it's going to bleed all over. It's still a little wet, so Gotta make it thicker if you want it to be. I'm gonna use some quinacridone gold and some orange here, and then I'll make that one a little bit darker, put a little bit of purple in there too. And this one's gonna be a little bit more into the warm side, the tree. And again, that makes it look farther back. And then we go this way. See how I'm making these? And again, these are the main branches. These are the ones that hold the tree up and are holding all the little small branches up. So these are not the small branches yet. These are all the big ones. This is the trunk and the big, huge branches that are going in the back. So that's what I've got going here first. And then we'll do the smaller ones. And like I said, I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks on how to get those other ones. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but I had lines that were showing the outer edge of the trunk, or of the, not the trunks, of the small branches. Remember I said in the beginning how important the shape of the tree is? If you look over here, right there, see the shape of that tree on the edge? So that tree branch, all the little branches makes the shape of the tree, and that is so important that you keep that there. I even drew a line, but you lose it because I put darker colors than the actual line I put. Here you can see a little bit of that line there still that shows the edge of where all the small little branches will be. But that's just the small branches, and then a little bit I'll show you how to get them. But we're still doing our big, large darks, and this is our big, large darks with the trees. And now we're going to get the water here, and that is dry. And so now we're going to go in the back here and do more of an orange. I'm going to start out with the orange back here. And the water is darker than the land because the land has snow on it. So I'm going to just negative paint around the snow banks that are back here. And I'm going with orange. Why? Because I'm probably going to put a little bit more orange on the mountains yet, just to get a little bit more darkness back there. So I'm pre-planning that so that there'll be a dark in the water. The same color as what's in the water. This water has no color. It's what's behind it, above it. And like these trees will reflect into it. And so now I'm going to go and make it dark. Because remember, that's the only part that's actually dark in my scene are these trees and this water. So I'm going to do that with the water now. And that's the background just sitting back there. I'm going around my foreground snow. And now I'm going to wet it with my large brush. And then I'm going to play with it. I'm going to play with it so I can get the look of water. And all the brush strokes I do now from this point on in the water will be horizontal. They will be back and forth. Back and forth. Even if I put in the reflections, all the things in the water need to be either horizontal or up and down. You know, I like to keep things, that way it looks like it's laying flat and it's level. And so now this is all going to be really dark. I need to get my darks like the sky. So that what was the sky? It was purple, it was blue and purple, and so that's what the water is going to be. Now I don't get my darkest dark in the water. I get my middle tone in the water, and so this will be like a middle tone dark. And then I have one more shot to go darker, and that will be where my reflections. And it goes from a dark to a light. And actually, when you're this close to the water, you can actually see in the water, depending on the rippling of the water. Now if this was like not running very fast, and no ripples, no wind, then you would see like a mirrored image of this. But every time you add ripples, then it diffuses like the look of the water, because then you have waves. You're getting waves, and if it hits a rock, you even get some foam, or not foam, but white in there you put in, because it foams up the water and basically makes it a white. And so I learned that from Disney. If you ever watch a Disney movie, and you can see how they put like to make it look like it's like a wave and stuff, they put white, because there's basically at the end when the wave crashes, it's basically white. And also these reflections will go in there later when I do the darks. Again, this is a middle tone dark, and I can put the bigger waves by just putting in lines now while it's wet. So it's wet, right? And so while it's wet, I'm getting big, nice big waves here. I'd like to donate, but iPad doesn't have a button or lower left or anything else. Sorry, Claudia. As long as you guys subscribe, another important thing is please subscribe to my channel. You know, it's really important that I got a lot of subscribers, and so if you can't donate, you know, don't there's no problem with that. I thank you everybody who does donate. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you don't, that's fine. I will keep on doing it, and but please try to subscribe and get your friends to subscribe. Every subscriber is just one person more that I can, you know, teach, and I love teaching, and so please, please, please subscribe. And actually, my newsletter the other day, I had the subscription thing in there, and we had a lot of people subscribe. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for subscribing. And so now I'm gonna put a few of these little darks in here, and a little bit of that. It's gonna be a little bit of the orange here. But these are not the hard edge darks yet. These are gonna all blend away. You'll see that these are gonna kind of blend away in a second. But this is again my middle tone. It's not my darks yet. You'll see the darks are almost gonna be black, and they're gonna be really dark. By putting a little bit of this orange in here to create the orange from the background, mountains or hills. And then we're gonna go in here. All right, and so now we've got to see how light this looks now, how light it is, and then I still got my fingerprints in there, or my back of my handprints. Now let me see if this is dry enough to show you how to do the wisping this. So there's two ways of doing these little leaves, or leaves. No leaves. There's no leaves, the small branches. So the one way of doing the small branches is by actually painting in each one, which to me is way too hard and too long. And then there's a way of wisping your brush with not much pigment at all on there. And then there's also this brush. I have this brush. I call this the ugly brush. It's a chip brush. You can get like at Menards, Home Depot. It's like 50 cents. You know, it's basically a bristle brush. And the more you use it, some people even cut into it with scissors. They take the scissors and just cut into it, make it, so it's like, it almost looks like the leaves up there, right? Or the branches. And so you can take this and you can take very little bit of water, hardly any water. And then you take a color that's closer to whatever the branches are that you're using for the tree. And since I still have that right here, and then take a different sheet of paper. Don't ever practice something on your painting. Try it on something else before you go there. So here, as you can see, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing this. And so this will look like a bunch of little leaves. Gosh, I keep on saying leaves. This can look like a bunch of branches, small little branches. And this kind of gives it look like that. See how you just it's almost a dry brush. And again, the important part of this will be the outer edge. But now you don't want it all to be soft or hard edge like this or textury. Some you want to put some water in and then just kind of get the look of like branches. So it's basically a pattern of value that's a little bit lighter, and you can make it look a little bit like the paper. If you're using soft cold press, then you get the texture of the paper. And that's one way. Then the other way is to take your maybe a 1/2-inch brush, get the same thing, but don't put too much water on there. And I tap it on my towel, and then I go like this. Can you see that? You can see I just really lightly wisp it across, and I kind of wreck the brush. I kind of like push it up into there, so I'm kind of smushing my bristles a little bit. But it's going to be the same kind of look where you're kind of getting the look of the bristles. You can go upwards like this, but that's the thing you kind of want to get. It's just a soft feeling of a value that looks like branches, and then you can put little smaller branches on that once it's dry. All right, so that's one way of getting the branches, or two ways of getting the branches. So one is with the chip brush, and one is just with things. So let me try the chip brush because I didn't use the chip brush this afternoon. And then again, what's important on this is the outer edge. So see how that's a little bit wetter, and so I'm just getting the outer edge. And I've got to make sure the outer edge looks like what I have in the value study. I need that shape. I need the shape of the tree to be really important. That's more important than anything, is the shape. And here I even get some orange, because what does the orangey yellow gold look like? That will look like it's farther back. Remember, because anything that's gold will sit back. Anything that's dark like this will come forward. It's the same thing for this when you're doing this part. So you only pick up the gold colors for the background tree here. And same thing back here. You start out with some gold because that's in the background. And then you get darker. So always light to darker. That's another thing. Always light to dark. And so I'm just kind of wisping this like this. And again, you can do that with the other brush. This brush tends to be really nice because, again, look, it even looks like the tree branches. Like if I put it right against it, see how it looks like the same thing? I'm going to make these a little bit darker up here because the sky got a little bit darker than I had anticipated, which is good. I actually wanted it darker, and so I'm just going to make this a little bit darker. And I'm kind of poking it and going downwards, and then I'm going to go down here. And again, first get your gold, get the gold yellowish ones first. So even on this tree, if there's some gold yellow ones back here, put them in first, and then put your darks over that. Always the lights come first in watercolor. Now the outer shape is really important in this, but more important is the color that these are in the back. These are the back branches. And again, these are not leaves. We had a couple people do leaves because it's soft and you think like you get rid of the trunks, but you don't. Not on this. This is not leaves. With leaves, you get rid of some of the trunk so that the leaves look like they're in front of the trunk. But this is all trunk. This is all leaves. All branches. This is all branches. No leaves whatsoever. We are going to do one day this soon. We'll do some leaves stuff too. We'll see. We'll see if we can do something with leaves in it. So again, these are my orangey yellow. Especially right over here, I want to get really yellow because this is closer to the sun. The sun's right back there, so I'm getting pure orange and yellows back here. And I'm getting it to look like very soft edge. It's very dry, so it's almost dry brush like. Now it's my darks. Now my darks go on top of that, so that's the purple that I used. And so now I'm going to make sure that I get a nice edge. A nice edge of the maybe I should even pull it off the, did I have it? It kind of goes off the page, so why don't we just take it off the page a little bit. See, go off the page here, go off the page over here, and then just come in here with some dark purplish browns, and then just tap it. Happy little trees. We're doing happy little trees. Little Bob Ross trees, little happy trees. And I'm gonna have to put these branches back in there because I kind of wet them. Some areas are wet, and so they're getting soft, these branches, but some of them I don't want them to be half soft. I want them to be hard edged, so I have to go back in there afterwards, and I'll put them back in. And I'll put them back in hard edged and dark, and that's fine. There's no problem with that whatsoever. And these things so you can see through it too. You know, it doesn't look exactly like the photo, but again, I'm not one to copy a photo anyways. I want it to look like a watercolor, and so I'll have this nice look of just soft branches and some lost edges. I tell my class I'm picking up all these beautiful paintings I've been seeing lately with beautiful lost edges or where it looks like it's out of focus, and we're gonna do a whole painting like that one time this week. Oh my gosh, what are you guys talking about? Thanks, Maria. Love the reflections. Thank you. No, Joseph is not my cousin, but thank you so much, Joseph, for letting them all like this. Wouldn't there be a little shadow on the snow from the trees like there is in the water? Yes, there will be. There definitely will be shadows in the snow, Cindy. Yep, we're definitely going to do that. Bill Alexander, Happy Little Trees. I'm old enough to remember the original Happy Little Tree Man. Yes, I loved Alexander. Actually, I liked him better than Bill Alexander. I actually saw him more than I had saw Bob Ross. Yeah, with his slapping that brush against the ladder. Oh, I love that. So there is pretty much my trees. Let me see. That's if you can see close up. See how they're just like wisped? They're wisped in there, and so when this dries, I'll go back in and get my just slightly darker branches, and I'll do them with when it's dry to get another layer. So it'll look like another layer of trees on top of that. Now, what are we up to? We're up to our details, right? Our detailed darks. This is the third step. The third step is detailed darks, and that. Oh, look what happened here. Well, that's kind of nice. That has been a little dark in there, but detailed darks. And so I go back in here, get the fence post, get the tree branches, get the reflections, all the stuff that makes it, the footsteps. Those are all the detailed darks, right? And those are the fun parts. And you definitely have to wait until that's all dry to get those because they have to be nice and sharp, hard edged. Excuse me. So actually, let's take another sip and cheers, everybody. Cheers, cheers, cheers. And so now we're going to go here And we're just going to do it. I put a fence post in there. Somebody said they saw one in there, but I'm going to put one in just because I'm just gonna, and as it goes back, it gets more orange. And if you want to make this a very much a Christmas card, you can still do that by, you know, like I said, you can put snow on here. You can actually make it snow. You can just sit there and spatter snow on it. And once this is dry, I'm going to put the little fine little details in there. So now let's get the, I kind of try to work from back to front. So back here, let's get what's back there. And over here, I'm going to put a little bit more tree or something happen on this hill. A little bit darker. I'm just punching it in here a little bit. I'm not sure what that is, just kind of foliage back there. And then it's like a hill, side of a hill. And so I'm going to go around the edge of the snow. I'm negative painting snow. And if you don't know what negative painting is, it's painting around the object that's already light and to create that object. Basically what that is. It's like this snow right here is negative painted because that snow is the light and I did the dark around it to create the actual snow. That's what negative painting is for all the newcomers. Now I don't teach really well the whole lesson of negative painting. That's just a basic because it's kind of a complicated subject matter. But there's many teachers out there that teach, and Linda Kemping was the best. If you ever want to really learn negative painting, you got to take a Linda Kemp. So here we're going to put little darks in here. And these are my detailed darks. These are what create the little rocks and shapes and anything that's happening in this picture that's like the rocks and the edge and underneath the water, edge of the water where it hits thing, that's all dark. There's little edges here that are like little grasses, and you know, this is the point. This is the point now where I'm getting the detailed darks. It creates what makes it everything look really real now. And you know, it's the fun. It's like the frosting on the cake, and then the writing of "Happy Birthday" on the cake. To put that in an analogy to what the final detail is. And so here, see, I'm just putting really nice dark colors, and that doesn't mean you're just using one color either. You can use other colors. You can use some reds and yellows and purples, and you know, put that into black. You know, put those colors into black. It'd be a dark blue you can put in there. It's all those colors. And look at the picture, you know, you see where the darks are, the real details, and like I'm putting extra details in there that are not even in there, like the fence post. And I'm leaving some things out, like back here. Actually, no, I'm not going to leave that out, because this is my center of interest, so I need to make that look really good back there. So let's take a little bit of orange and that way my tree right here, I can negative paint this tree a little bit. And then just put a little, like it's some kind of foliage, shrubbery that goes on the edge back here. See, it's just back there. It could be whatever. It's a bush. And it also gives you another shape, another dimension. And then there's a tree back here. And anytime you're doing branches of a tree that are really far back, the rigger brush is the way to go. Get yourself a rigger brush. If you bought my set, it's in there. My set of 6. It's the smallest one. It's the detail brush, the rigger, and I call it a tree branch brush because boy, you can make some great branches with a rigger brush. See, I'm just putting those in there, just really lightly, just wisping away at them, and I'm doing them all orange and all kind of like in a earthy, warm tones because that makes them look like they're in the back. Because I just established that when I started putting everything that's in the background here orangey. That's what you establish by doing a color scheme like this. And as it goes to the side here, I'm going to get a little bit darker, use a little bit more of that purple, purpley blue, and don't forget that you can put blue in there too because you got orange and yellows. Yes, Cindy, the painting should be better than the photo. And I'm hoping you guys always think about that. Always think about, you want to make your painting much better than the photo. You want to make it beautiful, right? You want to make it a piece of artwork, not just a copy of the photo. Unless you got a really good copy of a really good photo, then yeah, go ahead and copy it completely because then it'll look just as beautiful as the photo. But if the photo's not that great looking or doesn't have the potential that you can see it can have, then make it better. Make it much better. Now I'm putting a little bit of putting these little posts in there. as reflecting into the water. And these shouldn't be as dark back here though. I just noticed that they should be a little bit more orange because again it's farther back. So I put those a little bit lighter. Then this tree can be a little bit darker. And then when you're doing this, watch my hand. So I was going back and forth. I may go on an angle a little bit, and this whole big area will be this whole area. It's not going to be, you're not going to each individual branch down here. You're going to take and do like a bigger area of just waves. And kind of make it's waving, and so one side of the wave is the color of whatever that is, the tree, and then the other is just the sky color. And so those are the colors that are in the area. And now this tree over here, same thing. I'm doing like there's maybe a rock underneath there, and for that I'm using really dark. So I'm going into Prussian blue, black, permanent violet. I'm just getting a really dark. And I'm actually going to put some of that dark on the side of the tree too, because I don't feel it's dark enough. Put little lines for foliage. I mean for bark. Give the tree some bark. And then again, remember I said I needed to make this harder edged because it got kind of soft. Well, now I'm doing that. See, I'm going with a little dark color. My detailed darks. Detailed darks meaning even the little shadows on the branches. And getting my hard edges back and my smaller branches that I didn't have before. I'm going to have to put some more orange branches because my orange branches all went away here. So I'll put them in a second. I've still got this in my... See how many branches I can do with one loading of the brush with the rigger brush. That's what's so great about the rigger brush is that you can load it up and it lasts a long time before you gotta go get another color, a little bit more color to get in there. Same thing over here. I'm going back in and just get some of these big branches back and get them nice and hard edged because those are important to get those back because those are they're important. That's all I gotta say. They are the part of the tree that are holding the tree up, and so you gotta get those branches good. And I will still be putting more of a tone on this, on the a little bit more of a tone on the. Oh my gosh, it's almost 7:30. We gotta get this done here. We gotta get them. Okay, so see I'm getting bigger, and then this whole big area, you don't do each individual branch, you just do all of it. You kind of do all of it as a big broad stroke. I'll use my bigger brush and go big. Go big or go home. Go big now. And so here we go. Branches or the little tree or the post, fence post, and this is the big area of the big waves. As you get down here, bigger, and then underneath the snow, you get little things here. And now let's do our snow here real quick. I still have to go back in. Hopefully we can do that in 5 minutes. Yes, we can do that in 5 minutes. No big deal. Boy, time flew today. Is it really almost 7:30? Wow. Having too much fun on this one. So let's get some soft edges here. And so when you put this blue in here now to get more of the shadowing underneath the trees and such, you're going to go close to the color that you already used the first time. And don't go really dark, just close enough to show that it's a shadow in the snow, like on the edges of the rocks where the snow is like the bottom here. So you're just going to put little edges there, a little bit of snow. Here the side is a little bit darker. So I'm taking a dirty blue. You know, it's on my palette already, so you don't go really dark. You just go slightly darker than what's there. And same thing when it comes to the footprints, and actually almost don't see the footprints that I drew in. If you can't draw them in with just a brush alone, then stop, let it dry, and then pencil them in again. If you feel like you can't do it from your imagination, then yes, stop it and then put them in. But I can pretty much do them now because I did one this afternoon, so I pretty much know where I want them. And so again, I want a little bit the snow, so the snow is not just one value, because there's little crevices and such, and it's all hitting from the light coming forward. Now I'm going to take my round brush, And I'm gonna put in these little, and don't make these too dark. Again, most people make the shadows way too dark. They're just slightly. I mean, look at the picture. There's hardly any change in the values between lights and darks. So very, very small amount of light and dark. And so here are the footprints. I'll make them kind of oval. And that was kind of a dirty color. So a little bit of this. And so here we go on. There's the footprints. And usually the top of the footprint is closer to the top of snow, so the top would be lighter, and then the bottom part of the circle would be the darker. That's going in. Top part light, bottom part. There's some footprints, and maybe he had a stick with them, and so I put a little dot here, so you put the stick in there too. So then we can put it on the bottom of there. We're going to put a little bit darker on the bottom, so just put a little touch on the bottom. And that could be like the, little path he walked this way. You can put some back here too, really small. All right. And then I'm going to put some, one last time I'm going to go back in, getting some more of the dark branches, because I don't think I got quite dark enough. So I'm just going to go back in really quickly with some of these darker colors and get the branches in here, especially on front of it a little bit. And this side a little bit more orangey. And same thing on this side, and then we'll be done. Let me just get that in there real quick. And we'll still be done by 7:30. So that's how I work. People always ask me, how can I make sure that I worked in advertising for 30 some years. And when something had to be done at a certain time for a meeting, it got done. Otherwise, you lose your job. So I've gotten really good at making my time, knowing what I have to do to make it done, get things done in 1 hour or half hour, whatever time it takes. I would get it done. And any demonstration I've ever done at any art league, I've always finished the painting. It's one of the things I just have done my whole life, and so it's just experience of having to work in the advertising industry. And so I'm getting a little bit more orange yellow right here, and then we're gonna be done, guys. Let's put a little bit of that into the water too. Just a little bit of yellow, gonna put it right in here, crosswise, shadowing, and I think that's it, guys. Let's take the tape off and see how we did. And actually, I could put a lot more branches in here. Just get in there and have fun with the branches. This is all about trees, right? Remember, we want to learn how to do trees, so you can't put enough branches in here. You can put tons and tons in here. And so when this is over, I'm probably gonna put some more in there just to get it looking really real with the amount of branches. You really want to, I like the softness, but you also gotta get the main branches in there. All right, and I think that's pretty good. And here we have an extra branch right here. 7:29. Take the tape off, and it'll be 7:30. And I actually got a whole nother nice roll of the soft tape that Holbein makes. The soft tape is just wonderful tape. If you ever want the best tape on the market, it's soft tape. I'll put it into the comment section of this video. The soft tape is just perfect, and it repels the water. It doesn't stick on so tight. You never have to ruin your painting by ripping it. And so there we have it, guys. Let me see if you guys have any last questions. Here was this afternoon. See it a little bit darker and a little bit lighter. And let me see if there's any last questions. It is amazing that the snow does look light now. Yep, I told you. Let me go through here real quickly. 24 likes, 47 watching. Thank you, Joseph. Thanks so much for helping out. I really appreciate it. I love snow and winter and snow paintings, so this one is absolutely perfect for me. Thanks, Charlie. Any other questions here? A little water. Thank you guys always for coming by, and thank you also again for everything, the likes and all that stuff. All right, thanks so much. I'll be keeping doing this, and again, like always, if you have something you want me to help you learn, or something you want to paint, please let me know. Just email me or put it in the comment section here, and we will see if we can't get them in there. Not every time, but sometimes we do. It all depends on what I've got going. So thanks again, guys. We will see you next week. And cheers. Cheers to next week. All right. Bye-bye.